Well, I had no idea where he was going with that. But thank you, Robert. First of all, thank you to the Republican Party of Iowa for putting this on. All the other organizations that have come along their side. And let me add one more thing regarding prayer, because I agree with what Marla said as well. And that is what was said in August in this church at our leadership summit. From Joel Rosenberg, from Dr. White, from Governor Perry to Governor Huckabee to Senator Santorum, they all had a common thread. And that is this country is in need of revival. We're in need of revival. And so when you pray, remember, in 2 Chronicles 7:14 it says, if my people, not if those who are apart from me, if my people, if you, if me, who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I'll hear their prayers from heaven. Then I'll forgive their sins. Then I'll heal their land. May it be with you and may it be with me and may it be all of us here that we commit ourselves to spurring on a revival, a modern day revival for this country. You know, I started thinking about being pro-life. I started asking myself, well, when was it that I was pro-life? And I've always been pro-life, and I've been pro-life because I never had a choice. My parents said, you'll be pro-life. But then it was when I was 16 years old, and I heard my mom in a conversation with a very distraught sister, her daughter, my sister from Michigan, who was in a fourth pregnancy that was definitely unplanned. And as she was talking to my mom and being very concerned about this unplanned pregnancy, this fourth child, 16 years old, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was laying on the living room floor watching one of the 3 TV stations that we could receive. And I remember my mom on the other end of the receiver say these words, and it shook me to the core. She said, Sandra, we didn't want Bob either. I thought, you can't be serious. You just said that. And then she added on, now what would life be without him today? But I never realized that 19 years ago, Darla and I would deliver our third son into this world named Lucas. And although we knew there were some issues with the pregnancy, we didn't know the severity of the issues until Lucas was delivered. Long story short, a lot of you know about Lucas Ray, but today he's 19. He can't walk, can't talk, major seizure disorder, a lot of health care issues. He verges on the brink of life and death many times. 5 helicopter rides before the age of 2. But Lucas has left a dynamic impact on us as a family, on us as parents, and on so many around, and especially through his book, Light from Lucas. But then Darla got pregnant with our fourth child, which was unplanned. And I remember the doctor counseling Darla and I about one of the options being abortion. Because what if we were to have another Lucas? What if we were to have another Lucas? Well, it was never a choice for Darla and I. We chose life. And although payback is not normal, Logan isn't normal. He's not disabled, and he's been such a dynamic blessing in our life. I think how many parents, how many women get counseled into an abortion and extinguish a life of a kid who's now a sophomore in high school and in the prime of his life. So today I want to talk about just a couple of things. I want to talk about the family leader and our approach to life. I want to talk about the Republican Party. And I want to talk about 2014 and 2016. First of all, the family leader, the sanctity of human life is a cornerstone of who we are. We will always strive for the gold standard without apology, and that means life begins at conception and it ends at natural death, and that's what our aim is to be. The family leader is not a Republican subsidiary. We are not part of the Republican Party. Now, we align with a lot of Republicans and the party because of their stance on issues like life, like marriage, like limited government, like the Constitution. But make no mistake, if the party vacates their stances on those issues, we will run from this party, not embrace this party. And the reason I bring that up is that Iowa is at the forefront. We are in the crosshairs. Obviously, it's because we're part of the caucus process, the first in the nation. But just recently, Ken Mehlman, former national leader of the Republican Party, came into Iowa and he said this: Iowans must embrace homosexual marriage. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not who we are. That is not what we believe God's designed for the family to be. So therefore, we will stand steadfast with or without the party for marriage being between one man and one woman. Iowa is in the crosshairs when a guy like Karl Rove, he comes out and he says that if Steve King runs for the U.S. Senate, we will do everything we can to defeat him. Why? Because he's too rigid with his stances on life and on marriage and on Constitution and on the family. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not who we are. We applaud office holders like Congressman King. We applaud office holders like candidates like Congressman King. And why do they tell us to abandon these values? Why do they tell us to abandon our stance on marriage? Why do we abandon our stance on life? So we can win. Let me ask you this. If you abandon your core principles, if you abandon your core values, if you abandon God's principles and God's precepts, and if you win, what did you win? What did you win? Let us pledge here today that we will stand for something, and the something we will stand for is what is found in God's holy word as it applies to these issues. We're going to have a lot of races here in Iowa in 2014. It just got interesting. With Senator Harkin announcing his retirement, the field just became wide open in 2014. The field will be wide open in 2016. And you will hear in both cycles from people wearing our jersey, meaning the Republican jersey. You are going to hear, let's moderate to the middle, let's moderate to the left, let's moderate so we can win. Very similar to what Ronald Reagan faced in the mid-70s. And what Reagan said in his famous CPAC speech, he said, for those telling us that we need to move to become more and more and more like them, let them go their way. Let them go their way. But for you and for me, let us raise our bold conservative colors high and let everybody know where we stand on the sanctity of human life, where we stand on the definition and God's design for the family, one man, one woman marriage, where we stand when activist judges make laws when they shouldn't make laws and adhering to the Constitution. Where do we stand on the Second Amendment? Let us be clear, let us be trusted, let us lead, and let us win again.